Junk food supper.
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 Food supper. Junk food
Junk
supper.
food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
All right, welcome to Junk Food Supper, episode number 54. This is your number one morphological podcast covering all of the morphs from animorphs to xenomorphs. I'm SB, as joined, as always, by PB and the CV. What's shaking, Bowman?
Nothing much. Just having a fun, relaxing week. I've been hanging around, playing video games, watching a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So nothing too intense or anything like that. How about you?
Nothing as intense as getting trapped on a space station with either an animorph or a xenomorph.
No, sadly. I mean, well, maybe not too sadly. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty dangerous to get trapped with one of these fucking things.
Now, you were a big fan of the Animorphs book series in the mid-90s, right?
Yeah, I like those covers where like a dude will slowly turn into like an armadillo or a gorilla or whatever.
You know the guys.
Mm-hmm. I know those guys. I would get those guys at the Scholastic Book Fair. I mean, I was more of a Goosebumps man, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, those Animorphs were fine.
Yeah. No, it's no Magic School Bus. We can agree on that.
Starring Bette Midler?
Sure, yeah. As Miss Frizz.
Yeah, Miss Frisbee.
Exactly, yeah. I actually had a kind of an action-packed weekend for once. I feel like typically I'm coming into the show with zero to report on. This time I got a few things I can mention, and it's not just the movie that I saw for the show, which I'm sure we'll talk all about our experiences watching that. But before I went out to the Chinese to see Alien Romulus, which that's what we're going to be reviewing this week, I guess I should mention that, I stopped by the old Musso and Frank's Grill. You know about this place? You hear about this place?
Yeah, actually. I actually just watched a movie this week that part of it takes place at that place.
Oh, was it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Indeed it was.
Okay, yeah. I think that's what it's maybe most known for these days, but it is just a classic restaurant that I think most people who live in LA, if they've had the chance to go there, they love it. It's been there since the 20s or something. And I've always loved it. Had a great meal there. It's a little, you got to splurge. It's a little pricey. I can't go there all the time, but me and the wife wanted to have a night out. And so we did. And great time, fancy place, kind of. I mean, they let me in with my shorts on, so it's not that fancy. But, we're sitting there and we didn't have a reservation. So where we end up is just at the big counter. Like they got this big bar, this big counter where the grill is behind it. So it's kind of fun actually to sit there and you get to watch the guy grilling up all the steaks and stuff. But we're sitting there and, as it is at a counter, you're rubbing shoulders with strangers. And there's this guy on the other side of my wife, so not directly next to me, who, just a strange dude, a strange man, this kind of older white dude with horn-rimmed glasses, dining solo. He seems to be kind of drunk. Throughout the course of our meal, we hear him talking to the bartender or, bus boys or whatever, to the point where we put together he's like visiting from Utah. He's like some kind of traveling business dude. And so he stopped in for a meal. And I spent the entire meal just thinking this guy's kind of a loudmouth, a little bit annoying drunk guy, just kind of chit-chatting with everybody. What I didn't realize until the meal was over and my wife, talked to me about it, what she was hearing the entire time is I guess this guy was muttering the N-word incessantly, like in between everything he was saying, calling like the waiters that and like white waiters, like, so it just maybe some weird Tourette's thing that this guy had going on, or I don't know, maybe that's what people from Utah are like on a daily basis. I would presume not. I don't want to cast aspersions on the great state of Utah, but weird experience with this guy.
Sounds like, do you think was he saying it like in a disparaging way, or was he saying it in like the way that you think maybe he listens to a lot of hip hop and he thinks it's okay to say that kind of way?
I was thinking maybe he watches a lot of Tarantino movies and he thinks this is what white guys do in this building.
That also could very well be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. Honestly, I hope it was just some kind of weird form of Tourette's that was specifically racial. Is that a thing? Maybe, I don't know, but
I think he probably is.
yeah. But, not awkward enough to disrupt our great meal. Then we went over to the Chinese, saw Alien Romulus. We'll talk about that later. Saturday went to an Angels game, and nothing too remarkable happened there. We got blown out by the Braves, as you might expect. But afterwards, after the game, I went to Portillo's, and this has become kind of the routine for me and the wife is, we'll see a game down at Angel Stadium. Then we stop in Buena Park right off the 5 freeway for Portillo's. And have you been to Portillo's? Do you know about this guy?
Is it like that kind of like kind of fancy sandwich shop?
It's like a Chicago hot dog and Italian beef sandwich chain.
I don't think so then. Maybe.
You know about those
maybe.
Italian beef sandwiches?
I don't know about that.
It's like I don't even know how you would describe it. It's in a sub sandwich kind of form factor, but your contents are this kind of meat that's like, it's like a kind of like a thinly sliced beef, kind of like like a cheesesteak kind of beef, but it's been like soaked in some kind of pepper oil or something. It's strange, but I kind of like it. But the main thing I go there for is their sausages. Their Polish sausages are incredible.
So they're representing Italy and Poland, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's a multinational corporation, from what I understand.
Sounds like woke BS to me.
But good meal there. Highly recommend it. You got to stop there if you're ever in Buena Park. Go to Portillo's. I think it's the only location outside of Chicago. It's one of those deals where it's got a bunch of locations over there, but then they blessed us with one location here. Also, it's right next door to Medieval Times, which is another must do. Have you ever done that, Bowman?
No, I didn't even realize that they still had those.
Oh yeah, they're still going. I celebrated my birthday there a few years back, like right pre-pandemic.
Okay, I would love to do that. I think that would be very fun.
Yeah, it's more or less exactly like it is in the movie The Cable Guy. You can put the turkey skin on your face and make a Silence of the Lambs reference if you like. They don't mind. They're used to it by now,
Mm-hmm. I would imagine that they would have to be.
It's a fun time. I highly recommend it. And who knows, how long it's going to be around for, because, the fact that you were surprised that it still exists, I think is probably how most people feel about that thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like so like kind of mythic, I guess. It was like kind of like a punchline. I mean, obviously in The Cable Guy and then just in general. So yeah, I kind of figured they would have gone away. Like I also kind of figured maybe there was just like one and it was in like Miami, Florida or somewhere weird, but yeah, I would definitely like to do that. That would be very fun.
I sort of wonder about the other ones and like where they get their talent for those shows. Cause I feel like here, probably 99% of these guys doing Medieval Times also work in TV and film. They're either professional horsemen or they're stuntmen, and so they might have even had some experience doing lines on camera. And so to get them to ride a horse and talk on a mic, no big deal. But I wonder if you are in Miami, are you flying those guys in? What's going on?
I bet you're probably getting like the best of the best Renaissance Festival dudes, right?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're hitting up that circuit. That's where you do your recruiting, sending scouts out to all the Ren fairs.
Yeah, those guys take that job very seriously.
Yeah. And then on Sunday, I got to see some wrestling. There's a new independent ladies wrestling promotion here called Kitsune, which is focused on Japanese women's wrestling. And they brought in a bunch of Japanese women to wrestle each other here in LA. And it was pretty exciting. Got to see Aja Kong, who's one of my favorites, and Megan Bain and Act Yasukawa and Zaya Lee and a few others. So great show. Had a good time. And that's another recommendation. If you're in LA and you want to see some lady wrestling, this Kitsune show, if they do it again, it's a new company, but I think they'll be doing more. Turned out pretty fun.
Is Zaya Lee that lady who was in WWE for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I liked her, but she always had like horrible gimmicks. Didn't she have a gimmick where she like was partners with like a really old lady or something, like something weird.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I don't know if they had her with a fabulous moolah type, but
Oh, it was like a fake old lady, I think. It was like what's that, like old timey Japanese kabuki. It was like a kabuki old lady or something, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm mixing this up with somebody else, but it was like a weird gimmick that like kind of ruined her career, I think.
yeah, she had a brief run there, in WWE, but I think she's been independent now for a bit. There's so many wrestlers, like it's crazy, because if you just watch WWE and you see the same 10 guys and 8 ladies over and over again, but it turns out, man, and some of these people who I didn't even know, some of the younger local talent, they're pretty good, man. I guess they've been watching a lot of tapes and just studying real hard and hitting the gym, but it's a good time to go see indie wrestling, I think.
Yeah. We used to have a lot of shows around here, and then I don't know if it was the pandemic. I guess it was probably the pandemic and like just a lack of venues in general. Like we don't really get any anymore. I used to see like some like real up and coming youngsters back in the day, like that Jeff Cobb fellow who's like kind of everywhere now. He was like a local-ish guy here. Yeah, see more wrestling would be fun. I'm envious of you, is what I mean to say.
I understand. I mean, it was an enviable weekend. I got to the end of it, and I was like, man, I can't believe 3 days in a row I had fun. What kind of world is this where you can have fun in 3 days in a row? Okay.
Well, yeah. Although, who knows what's going to happen in November? They could outlaw fun. We don't know how it's going to shake out.
Very true.
Have your fun now.
I'm trying. But also, we could maybe have our fun in September.
That's true. September could be full of fun.
It could be full of fun based on what's coming out in the cinemas, which is maybe sort of the name of this segment that doesn't really have a name, in which we try and figure out what's coming out in the cinemas by looking at Wikipedia, which has a nice release calendar for us.
Yeah, they got a lot of movies, a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah, it's a big month, September. I scanned through it and I just kind of earmarked a few of these, and by the time I got to the end of the list, I've got 10 titles that are interesting to me based on their, brief little write-ups, and I'm sure if I dug deeper, maybe even more of these might be interesting.
Yeah, a lot of, seems like some under the radar stuff. I didn't go through it too much before we started doing this, but it seems like there's, looking through it, there's some stuff.
There's some things. Well,
there's some stuff.
Let me kick this off then with the first thing that I see on September 4th. We will see the release of Legend of the White Dragon. This is an upcoming American sci-fi superhero film directed by Aaron Schonke, I think, that was crowdfunded through Kickstarter. It's scheduled for release on September 4th. Like I said, it reunites Power Rangers actors Jason David Frank in his final role before his death, and then a few other names that I don't know, who I guess were from Power Rangers. It also stars the director himself, as well as Michael Madsen. In the film, 3 years after a tragic battle, Eric Reed returns to his city to protect his wife and daughter from a new threat. The film is described as a mature take on the Power Rangers franchise and introduces a new universe. What do you think about this Legend of the White Dragon, a crowdfunded Power Rangers adjacent movie that seems non-canonical? Is this something that you might be interested in?
It sounds interesting. I mean, I like this idea that it's like sort of a Power Rangers, fan film that's like not, I don't think it's, like an authorized in-universe film. Like, I like the idea of that. Like, I know that I like Tom Matthews, who's in one of the Friday the 13th movies. Like, he's shown up in fan films of Friday the 13th, to like carry that stuff on. So I think that's a cool idea. I'm not like the biggest Power Rangers guy, but I know that for some folks, like Power Rangers are still pretty big. Like like I have one of my brother's friends is like super still into Power Rangers. Like, and I mean not to say like super still in, like he's into Power Rangers like the way that like people our age or a little bit older are into Star Wars. Like it was just like kind of at that age, like that's your thing. Um, so yeah, I recognize that it's that kind of thing. I was a little bit old when Power Rangers came out, but I did like that movie when we watched it for the show.
You do realize that little snippet of you saying, I'm not a super Power Rangers guy, or however you phrased it, that's going to be a drop. You admitting that you don't love Power Rangers to the extent that the rest of us do, that's some embarrassing stuff right there.
I think you're probably right. I'm never going to live that down.
I think this is interesting. I agree, but, in terms of getting these people back together is maybe kind of an interesting ploy, but I wouldn't call this a fan film, based on some of the credits I'm seeing here for this director. I would say maybe his most notable credit up until now is that this guy who's directing this played Spider-Man. At least he's credited as providing the motion capture performance for Spider-Man in 2014's Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game. So if you ever played that, this guy's work.
No, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
I bet Jackson has played it. I'll message Jackson. He's playing all those Spider-Mans.
Maybe he'll have some insight into how this Aaron Schoenke guy's head works and whether or not Legend of the White Dragon is going to be a must-see film this September.
Yeah, it's got a pretty interesting cast list. I mean, in addition to all the Power Rangers people, it's got Mark Dacascos, who I like a lot. He was in the Double Dragon movie, and he was like the Iron Chef at one point, I believe. Serena Vincent's in it, Michael Madsen. Yeah, this is interesting.
Well,
now I have to look up Mark Dacascos and make sure he was the Iron Chef guy. I'm going to feel racist if I got it. Oh yeah, he was the chairman on the American remake. All right, I had that right. I didn't want to mix him up with somebody else.
All right, well, what else is coming out?
Well, we got on the 6th, we got that Beetlejuice, the biggest movie of the year, some people believe.
Yeah, it is coming out. So this is the one that's going to be set in Hawaii?
No, after 30 years of saying that Beetlejuice 2 would be in Hawaii, they lied to us. It's just back at the same fucking house as the first one.
Oh. Well, then there's no reason for me to see this.
I kind of agree.
If it's not going to be Beetlejuice versus the volcano, what am I even paying for?
Well, you're paying for a lot of the same people to come back. And also Jenna Ortega from your favorite Scream movies. And not Jeffrey Jones, because he's a pervert.
Yeah.
And also they're adding Monica Bellucci to the cast based on her role in Twin Peaks, I'm assuming.
And also not a whole lot of Michael Keaton from what I think he's been saying in press, like as of today. He gave some interview where he's like, don't expect me to be in the movie very much because I didn't really want to do this. He just came out and he just came out and said it today. He like pretty much admitted, he's like, they gave me so much money I couldn't say no, but I still didn't want to do it. So, don't go in thinking I'm the main character, because I'm not.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how the first one was. I mean, didn't have a ton of screen time in that one.
Yeah. And I guess it does make sense to make a movie where the character whose name comprises the title twice over is barely in it. Right? That's how that should work. You couldn't just call this anything else. Call it the Deedses or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks bad. I mean, it looks like a step up from all the stuff Tim Burton has been doing for many, many years, but it looks pretty bad, I think, right? You've seen the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, the first kind of teaser-ish thing where we didn't get very much at all, I was like kind of open-minded and thinking, all right, maybe. And then I saw a more extended trailer within the past month or so that kind of dwindled my hopes. But I might see this it's going to really depend on audience reaction. If I hear from, a lot of people that this is like a return to form for Burton, then I'm down. But otherwise, I don't know. It feels very skippable to me.
Yeah. I think Jennifer's going to make me see it. So I'll probably be there.
I don't even get the sense that like Burton wanted to make this, you know?
Yeah. I don't really get the sense that he wants to make any movies. I think
Yeah.
I think his agent just makes him go to work still.
I honestly wish that he would maybe follow his instincts and just take a break, dude. You know? How old is he? He's got to be pretty old now, right? He's 65. That's retirement age.
Yeah. He can take a break. Do weird stuff. Like just, do little short films or something.
Make a graphic novel. Wouldn't that be cool?
I feel like he's got artistic blood in his veins. Like, you don't have to make Alice in Wonderland movies all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe $500 million movies are not your forte.
Yeah.
The Front Room is an upcoming American psychological horror thriller film written and directed by the Eggers brothers in their feature film debut. It's based on a 2016 short story of the same name by author Susan Hill and stars Brandy, among others. And these aforementioned Eggers brothers, Max and Sam, are indeed the brothers of Robert Eggers. So you got 3 filmmaking brothers now in this family. I don't know much about this. There is a plot summary. I chose not to read it because I don't want to know anything about this. I'm just intrigued that there's a trio of talented film people, or, presumably talented, in this Eggers family. And based on my enjoyment of Robert's stuff up until now, I think you already sold a ticket to me for this psychological horror thriller starring Brandy. But what do you think about The Front Room?
Well, I don't care for all this nepotism.
Fair.
I mean, I don't. Maybe they're talented on their own. Maybe it's not nepotism, but it's kind of weird that these 2 brothers would make movies together and not the other one. Doesn't that seem weird? Like, what's the beef between these guys that they can't all make movies together?
I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll discover it one day. I don't
know. Their names are Max and Sam. Did I get that right? Because there's that famous LucasArts adventure game, Sam and Max, right? With, what is it, like a cartoon bunny and a cartoon dog?
Yeah, that would have been very popular around the time these guys were born. I bet they're named after them.
Man, if that's the case, if you're trying to sell me a thriller from Sam and Max, a cartoon dog and rabbit, I'm not going to be thrilled about that.
Well, only time will tell. Have you seen that Nosferatu trailer?
I've seen like a still, and that was enough to sell me. So I'm in.
Me too. But are you in on this? It's called Rebel Ridge. It's going to be a Netflix movie directed by my man, Jeremy Saulnier, who you may remember from Green Room, Blue Ruin, Murder Party. This is it looks basically kind of like a remake of First Blood. Like it's like about a war vet who gets tangled up with corrupt cops in like a small town and has to start murdering them all. Doesn't look too innovative story-wise, but this man is very good at directing action. So I'm excited. This guy, his last movie came out in 2018, which is forever ago.
Yeah.
Basically. And it was mediocre. So, but before that, he made 3 of my favorite movies of the last however many years. So I'm excited. This is going to be like a real make it or break it kind of movie, I think, for him. Like, if this is a banger, then he's going to be one of my favorite dudes for life. If this is mediocre, then it's like, okay, well, let's part ways here, my friend. Yeah. Do you know anything about this? How do you feel about Jeremy Saulnier? I don't remember you enjoying Green Room as much as me.
I liked Green Room. I mean, it's not my favorite movie of all time, but I have fond memories of seeing that one. And I really liked Blue Ruin. And I liked Murder Party. I do think that he's a interesting director. I still haven't seen that other movie, Hold the Dark, that he did. That I think he didn't write, but he did direct for Netflix.
Yeah.
Curious about that one, and curious about this. I mean, I don't know what kind of scope this movie is. I'm not sure if this is a relatively big budget movie for him, but it is going to be interesting to track, like, can he make that leap into bigger budget stuff, if that is, the direction that he ends up going in. Because it could be, that he's a Tim Burton. It could be that he's maybe a filmmaker that is best suited to quirky, smaller movies. But who knows? Sometimes those guys can break out and have wide success as well.
Yeah.
I see this this movie, Rebel Ridge, is set in the town of Shelby Springs. So play the boo drop now, I guess.
A lot of death metal in that town.
Yeah, exactly. We also got a movie called The Thicket coming out. The Thicket is an upcoming American Western film directed by Elliot Lester and written by Chris Kelly. It's a film adaptation of the 2013 novel, blah, 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 starring Peter Dinklage, Juliette Lewis, Macon Blair. Speaking of Jeremy Saulnier, Macon Blair's in this one. James Hetfield, of all people, and a few other kind of interesting names as well. This one looks interesting. I don't really know anything about this. I hadn't heard of it until just before showtime, and I haven't seen a trailer or anything, but just the poster kind of gives me the vibe that this might be the kind of weird ass, just kind of twisted take on a Western, perhaps, that I've been looking for,
Yeah, it's based on a book by Joe Lansdale, who I've never read any of his stuff, but like people really love him, and like that's kind of what he does, is do like these weird sort of like horror westerns and westerns, like where he mixes in other genres and stuff. Oh, actually, no, I have read some of his stuff. He wrote Bubba Hotep, which is very good.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've read of his, though. Yeah, so yeah, this sounds good. I'm excited for this then. Oh my God, Tubi acquired the rights to this movie.
Well, that'll make it a breeze to watch. Although that means you'll never be able to enjoy this without commercials.
Yeah, that's also true. It's going to be released theatrically and then go to Tubi, I assume. So that's very strange. Tubi, I think the writing's on the wall for Tubi. I think it's going to start sucking pretty soon.
You think so?
Yeah, if they're acquiring rights to movies, like they've been making their own movies, which I haven't watched, but they're like, I think they like, with those movies, with like a lot of their original stuff, I think they're kind of like leaning into their reputation and they're sort of like campy and bad and stuff. But I like, it used to be like the algorithm, whenever I would go on Tubi, it would just show me like Dustin Ferguson movies and like trauma movies and like all the stuff, that I want from, from Tubi. And now whenever I go there, it'll be like I'll like watch Toxic Avenger, and it'll be like, since you watched Toxic Avenger, maybe the next movie you should watch is Fast and Furious 5 or,
well, it is owned by Disney, just like everything else.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like an independent thing for a while, but I think Fox owns it.
Who owns Fox?
Well, it's like the Fox TV people.
Oh, really? Is it not the same Fox?
No, Fox TV is like still exists. It's its own thing. Disney doesn't own that.
Yeah.
I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right, actually. Okay, well, score one for the little guy, Fox.
His little mom and pop studios, his indies.
I'm rooting for this upstart Fox Corporation.
Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, we've got this Speak No Evil movie. I see a lot of people talking about this. I've seen the trailer about 30 times because they play it before every movie I go to. It's a remake of, I guess this is probably why people talk about it a lot. It's a remake of a 2022 Danish film that was very well liked, from what I understand. We got James McAvoy. He plays kind of a creepy guy who may or may not be abusing his kid. I guess. I don't know. The trailer is a little bit vague. It's just like kind of moody and tense. But yeah, I don't know. Mackenzie Davis is in this. She was in Blade Runner 2049, and I like that movie, and I like her. So I don't know. I like James McAvoy as well. I don't know. This seems weird, but I'm kind of like intrigued by it. I don't know. Have you heard anything about this?
What I've heard is that this movie does not star Kane, and for that reason, I'm not interested.
That's a good point.
I'm sticking with See No Evil. I feel like I saw this trailer maybe before Romulus, I think, but I kind of tuned it out, to be honest. This seems like the kind of new horror movie that's like not for me.
Could be.
Speaking of things that might not be for me, and maybe you can explain to me what this is all about, coming out soon-ish. Maybe I should pull up the date so I know what I'm talking about, but at some point in September 13th, looks like, is the 4:30 movie. An upcoming American semi-autobiographical coming-of-age comedy film written and directed by Kevin Smith, starring a bunch of people who I've never heard of, and Ken Jeong. Story is loosely based on Smith's experiences sneaking into movie theaters as a teen and his earliest romantic endeavors, which I could only assume will be relayed in as graphic detail as that one famous tweet. I don't need to repeat any of the contents of it. We all know about certain areas that he was describing in graphic detail. And yeah, so new Kevin Smith movie that seemingly does not feature Jay or Silent Bob, although I wouldn't put it past him to have little cameos for them in the background or something. Although I guess this would probably not canonically be like an Skewniverse movie, right? It's probably going to be set in a different universe, and I'm guessing is a period piece, but I don't really know anything about this. What do you know about the 4:30?
I know a little bit about it. I know it takes place in the 80s, so I guess, I mean, it could be about like Dante and Randall's parents or something. Like I don't think Jay and Silent Bob were born yet, maybe. Or maybe they were. But yeah, I think he owns a theater now in New Jersey. I think it's like right next to the Quick Stop. And I think he filmed this movie there, which is handy, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about this because after, 10 or 15 years or whatever of not liking Kevin Smith because of like Yoga Hosers and Red State and that Bruce Willis movie and all that crap, I liked his last two movies quite a bit. So I'm curious how this one will go. Like if those were flukes or if I just liked them because it was Jay and Silent Bob and Clerks back at it, like if I just liked it for nostalgic reasons or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm sort of like Jeremy Saulnier. This is going to be like kind of a make it or break it movie. Like, do you really got something, Kevin Smith, or were you a jokester all along kind of a thing? So I'm interested to see how this goes, interested to see how it goes. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out.
I'm looking further down the cast list, and I'm seeing some names that get me a little bit more interested. Some Kevin Smith mainstays like Jason Lee, Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, Rosario Dawson, Jason Mewes, Jason Biggs, etc. Rachel Dratch, who I like, might be fun to see her in this. But it is kind of weird to see a credit here for comic actor Adam Pally as Emo Usher. If this is set in the 80s, were people even referring to other people as emo in the 80s yet? That feels to me like more of a mid-late 90s type of thing.
I bet this guy is an usher at an Emo Phillips performance.
If that is the case, then sign me up. I'm still craving emo after, you sold me all that emo in that Journey to the Center of the Earth movie that you picked, and then he wasn't even in it.
Yeah, well, we all got cheated out of emo at that point.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah, this is Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran are in it, so I bet that they're going to do some chicanery in it Probably, I bet Dante and Randall's mom and dad probably will be in it because of that. They're probably
Yeah.
playing their own parents or something. Yeah, this seems fun. Bear McCreary is doing the score. He's really good. He does a lot of good scores. What else do we got? What other movies are coming out?
Well, you got Never Let Go. It's an upcoming American survival horror film directed by Alexander Aja.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this. I bet there's a trailer. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth about this guy. Like, he's done some stuff I really like. Like, I like most of High Tension. I like all of his Hills Have Eyes remake. Piranha 3D, I'm kind of mixed on. Horns, I'm kind of mixed on. I really liked Crawl, so yeah, I would check this out based on him. He's always interesting.
I think I can save you some time here by reading you this premise from Wikipedia, and hopefully
Okay.
you don't mind me spoiling this, but this sounds like dog shit to me. A family consisting of a mother and her twin sons has suffered from the torment of a malicious spirit for many years. However, when one of the boys starts to doubt the existence of evil, the family's sacred bond is broken, leading to a dangerous fight for survival. So, I don't know. This sounds like one of those kind of, religious themed horror movies that, again, is just going to be lost on me, a non-believer.
Well, it sounds to me like it's going to be a movie where the monster was trauma the whole time. Generational trauma.
Exactly.
My least favorite genre of movie.
The monster was single parenthood.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm not excited about that anymore.
Are you excited about Megalopolis?
Hell no. But I'm going to see it on day one.
It got a release. You got to give the man credit. Little Frankie Ford Coppola, he got it out there, and people said it couldn't be done. I mean, I guess there is still a few weeks before September 20th, when this is scheduled to come out, that anything could happen. He could seize control of the negative and burn it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think this will actually hit theaters.
Yeah. Did you see the kerfuffle that this movie caused on the internet today?
I saw something about there was a new trailer where, like, there's possibly fake bad reviews of it in the trailer or something. Is that the deal?
Yeah, like the new trailer has like a bunch of like quotes from like famous movie critics, your Eberts and whoever like this, like saying bad things about Francis Ford Coppola, but it turns out like none of them are real. None of the quotes are real. So, and it wasn't like, it was confusing to everybody because why would you do this? So people were wondering, like, is this some sort of like artistic take that they're doing, like to put out these fake bad reviews, like on purpose to say something? But it turns out, no, they like somebody just made them up. Like they just made a mistake in doing it. I feel like they probably used AI or something, like typed in, like, what did Roger Ebert say bad about Francis Ford Coppola or something like that, maybe? Because how else does this mistake happen? But yeah, they just made up a bunch of crap.
With actual, like, real names of critics.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I didn't watch it. I read a story about it, but yeah, I believe so.
Because if it's just kind of fictitious, like publications, I think that's kind of fun and funny. But it is weird if you're actually attributing false words to, a known writer.
Yeah, I think that's how it was.
Well, either way, I think the movie's going to be bad based on what everybody's always said about it, since day one. But yeah, I'll probably see it anyways. This is a man who has not made a good movie in 40 years or something. I mean, I like his Dracula a lot, but I don't think it really landed with most audiences, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of being reevaluated, but yeah, I mean, discounting Dracula, which was itself like 35 years ago or something like that, like 30. Then yeah, like you have to go 15 years before that or whatever to get a good movie out of this guy.
Yeah, and I don't know, those early 80s movies, The Outsiders and all that, I don't know. I'm not so sure about those movies.
Yeah, Justin was telling me that a few of them are good. I haven't seen them. I believe him. I think I believe Justin. Maybe, like even counting like some of those early 80s ones, it's still been 45 years or whatever since this guy made a good movie.
Yeah.
However long that is.
But we love him for trying.
Yeah.
And honestly, actually, I mean, I wish that everybody with an excess of money would waste it on a movie that appeals to a few people. Like, I think that's what people should be spending their money on rather than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely respectable. I mean, George Lucas just sold all his stuff and retired, and Spielberg just keeps making like the same schmaltzy bullshit over and over again. And I guess Scorsese's still at it. De Palma's still trying, but out of like those guys, like those '70s guys, I'm happy for this guy to go out there and spend all of his fortune in a decade making some garbage no one's gonna like. I respect that.
Yeah. I also see Apartment 7A on the schedule. Do you know about this? Have you heard about this?
I've not heard about this. It says it's a Platinum Dunes movie, so I assume it's a horror film.
Yeah, it's an upcoming American psychological thriller directed by Natalie Erica James, and it's a prequel to, do you want to guess if you haven't read it already?
I actually did read it, but I never would have guessed in a million years.
That it would be a prequel to Rosemary's Baby. And the Wikipedia article points out that this is the third film in the franchise. I forgot that there was a sequel to Rosemary's Baby that came out in 1976 called Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby, which sounds like a joke, but it's an actual movie that I think was straight to TV. But I love that original. I mean, it is a chilling picture. All the performances in it are great. Ton of spooky atmosphere. I don't know that there's like a ton of lore involved that I need to explore. I don't think that's what I liked about Rosemary's Baby is, the machinations of some weird New York-based cult. I don't really need to know more about them other than they're just a weird cult.
Yeah.
But I guess this movie will probably, fill in all of those gaps that I didn't really need filled.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like, this is going to be about like those weird neighbors who are in the cult. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the more you explain something, the less scary it gets. So I don't know that I get this. It's weird that all of a sudden, like this is getting a prequel. The Omen got a prequel. Alien got a prequel. Like it's weird that this is the new thing. Maybe that's the new angle, I guess. Instead of rebooting things, just give everything prequels. Maybe that's a better way to go. Only time will tell.
Yeah, it does feel like they are just trying to find new ways to keep the focus on whatever franchises they own. And if it's going to be prequels or it's going to be reimaginings in different formats or whatever, like there was like a Rosemary's streaming series as well recently too. So
yeah.
Then we also got Abruptio. I sent you the trailer to this before the show. This is a weird ass looking puppet movie that was made by a guy named Evan Marlowe, starring Christopher McDonald, Jordan Peele, Robert Englund, Sid Haig in his final film before his death. Although we'll see. Even though it has been now 5 full years since the man died, I wouldn't be too shocked if there are still more Sid Haig movies in post-production still to come out.
Yeah.
That would definitely not surprise me.
I guarantee that Dustin Ferguson has some stock footage of, like some behind-the-scenes footage of Sid Haig that he's going to repurpose to put a movie out there just to say Sid Haig's in it.
Especially considering this movie started its production in 2015. So this thing took 9 years to make, and seemed to be a real labor of love. Seems like it was probably not a very easy shoot to make this movie that is basically set in the real world, with like real live environment backgrounds, but then is starring exclusively full-sized, like mannequin kind of puppet people that look bizarre. They look uncanny. They kind of look like, what was that? What was that stop motion movie that Dan Harmon wrote?
Anomalisa? Did he write that?
Exactly, Anomalisa. Didn't he write that?
I don't think so, but I do remember that movie being good.
Anyways, it looks a little bit like it was produced by Dino Stamatopoulos.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
And produced by Starburns. So,
Yeah.
I guess he produced. Dan Harmon kind of co-produced it or whatever.
Yeah, those guys are close enough. They're constant partners.
Yeah. But anyways, it looks kind of like that, but like blown up to full size, human size, and looks kind of violent and kind of weird, as you might imagine from that cast list. And again, much like Francis Ford Coppola, this is the kind of thing that I applaud people wasting their time and money on. Something that's going to appeal to like 16 people and probably ate up a good chunk of this man's life, him trying to make this thing. But I love it. I'm one of those 16.
Yeah, count me in. I think I watched the trailer. I think this looks like a masterpiece. I'm ready to log it 5 stars already on Letterboxd. Yeah, like just the weird puppet stuff. This cast is outstanding. I mean, like you said, Sid Haig, Jordan Peele, Robert Englund, and then a couple of my favorite guys on Earth, as if those guys aren't already on the list. Rich Fulcher, who I think most people know from The Mighty Boosh. He was a regular on the Grandma's Virginity podcast, one of my favorite things to ever exist in life. And more than that, the main character is played by James Marsters, who played Spike on Buffy, my favorite character on My Favorite Thing. So I'm all in on this. This is genius. I love it.
I was kind of disappointed that it was not James Marsden.
Well, that's what I thought at first. Like, James Marsters doesn't work a ton. Like, so yeah, when I first saw it, I thought it was him. I was going to mention it to you. I was like, oh, I'm sure you're excited because you really like that Jury Duty show. And your boy Cyclops is in this. And then, no, it's James Marsters, rather.
I still need to finish Jury Duty. My wife hated that show. That's what happened there. I've been trying to convince her to go back.
Gotta go back. Gotta watch it. I mean, I got some mixed feelings about it, but you gotta watch it.
I know. Well, that's all I had for September releases. I'm not sure if you got any more that looked interesting to you.
None that excite me as much as that one. So it would be anticlimactic to discuss them.
Yeah, if you're out there, if you are a person listening to this, go look up Abruptio on YouTube. Check out that trailer for Abruptio. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I hope it gets a good release. Oh, there's a whole 7-paragraph long thing about its release, so I'll have to look into that and see when it's actually coming. I think it had its world premiere like a long time ago, I think.
Yeah, it's played a bunch of festivals. So
yeah,
could be that some of our listeners out there, if they were at the Desertscape Film Festival in Indianapolis on June 23rd, they might have seen, why is the Desertscape Film Festival in Indianapolis?
That's a good question.
Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Anyways, if you were at the Galacticat Film Festival, or the Motor City Nightmares Film Festival, if you might have been there.
Oh, yeah.
It's possible you saw this at the Tucson Terror Fest.
I played at Horror Hound Film Festival.
Yeah, that's not a very funny name, though. We're looking for funny names here.
Well,
we're looking for the Popcorn Frights Film Festival.
If it was the Cincinnati Horror Hound, I'm sad I missed it, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you could have caught it at Grimfest.
Well, that's true. Or Days of the Dead Los Angeles. You gotta go out to that.
That's a very established, well-known. I'm looking for novelty in these con names. I'm looking for the Night Visions Film Festival.
Well, that's not a very good one.
No, but
what about this one? This one's pretty weird. The Malibu Film Festival. You ever hear something so weird?
This segment is over. Just go look up the Abruptio trailer, everybody. That's all you need to know.
I agree. It looks very good. But let's find out if any people out there in Junk Food Dinner Land have watched Abruptio, because we got a voicemail. Hopefully, this is from Tom from Adelaide. Hopefully he'll chime in and let us know if he caught this at any film festivals. Here he is. Here's Tom from Adelaide.
Hey, this is Tom from Adelaide. I don't have anything to say, but I just thought I would take pity on you and give you a call. Here you are. Here's a call. Everything's going really good. I just rewatched Dead and Buried and loved it, and you should rewatch it too, because it's a great film. All right, see ya.
Oh, thank you, Tom, for taking pity on us. We do need more voicemails. Very sad to not get them. It makes me cry at night. But Dead and Buried is a masterpiece. Everybody should watch it. I agree. Sean, do you agree?
Yeah, I like Dead and Buried.
Now, you saw that movie at the Corngorn.
Oh, yeah, I did. I wonder what I logged it on Letterboxd. I think it's probably a 4.5 for me. Does that sound about right?
I know that's what I got it at. I think either 4.5 or 5. I mean, it's really good. The print that we saw at the Corngorn was a little bit messed up. It was like kind of like tinted yellow. It was like kind of a beat up print, but it was still enjoyable. They played it like I think pretty late. I think it started at like 2 or 3 in the morning or something. But it's a spooky one. It wakes you up.
It's a solid 4 for me.
You got to bump those numbers up, buddy.
I should rewatch it. I've logged it 3 times already, though.
Well, I guess you've made up your mind then at 4.
Check this. It was 4.5 on my first 2 loggings. What happened in between 2011 and 2015?
That's a good question. When did I bet that third login?
Yeah,
when
I think
was
it
that?
is. That's the Corngorn one for sure.
Oh, that's that beat up print. You can't hold that against the movie.
The print fucked me over.
You gotta watch it again. You gotta watch it with pixels or something.
I know. I think probably I've never seen it at home with real pixels, so I'm sure it's got pixels now.
I believe so, yeah. But if you've got pixels out there, dear listener, give us a call at 347-746-JUNK. That's 347-746-5865, or go to facebook.com/junkfoodinner. Hit the call now button.
Be a hero like Tom. And also, there is still time because next week is going to be a Kevin Moss episode. So if you want to be that kind of hero, the little squeezers kind of hero, you know what to do.
Yep. You get right into the Junk Food Supper Hall of Fame by calling in and telling Kevin something about little squeezers.
Yeah. Make reference to promotional items from Little Squeezers of days past. We like that kind of thing.
Yeah, certainly. But I think on that note, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Alien Romulus, the Star Trek movie, so stick around.
What are you, a comedian?
Just like those Romulan.
We'll be right back.
3, 4, 7, 7, 4, 6, J, U, N, K. 3, 4, 7, 7, 4, 6, J, U, N, K.
You're always asking these fake questions.
Call the gab line. It's a party line.
16 years of fake questions.
Call now. It's a party line. Call now.
Yeah, I don't find it interesting at all.
3, 4, 7, 7, 7, 4, 6, J, U, N, K.
You sure you want to do this?
This is our only ticket out of here. Should be in and out in 30 minutes.
On August 16th.
This place gives me the creeps.
Fear is bigger.
That who's hunting us?
In IMAX.
Impact in 3, 2, 1.
Alien Romulus. Rated R. Only in theaters. Get tickets now.
All right, welcome back to Junk Food Supper. The movie that we're talking about this week is Alien Romulus that just came out. You know that movie that probably every other podcast that you listen to has been talking about this week. We're joining in on that fun. We will also be talking about it. This, of course, if you didn't know about it, it's the 7th installment in the Alien franchise. It was directed by Fede Alvarez. And I guess I should just say right now, if you didn't expect it, we will be spoiling this movie. I would recommend that you probably see it before we spoil it if you got any kind of interest in it. Because, you know, as with any movie, that's probably the best way to experience it. But one big spoiler that I sadly became aware of coming into the movie shortly before I saw the movie, I made the mistake of looking up the runtime on Wikipedia. And the very first sentence kind of spoiled something for me that I didn't know, which is that this is set between the events of Alien and Aliens. Did you know that coming into this?
I actually did. There was like an infographic. I don't know if it was promotional material that was made like by the studio or if like some website made it. But yeah, of like the timeline of the entire franchise. And so yeah, I did see that it came between the two movies, which is kind of a spoiler because
Yeah.
if you don't know that, once you get to that reveal of the Rook character, like like that, I would imagine that would be quite a surprise if you did not already know
Yeah.
going in that it was set
Would
between
have
the
been a
two.
very fun reveal, you know, and they sadly just threw it away in the marketing and in this Wikipedia entry. But like I said, seventh installment of the franchise. It stars Kaylee Spaney, David Johnson, Archie Renault, a bunch of people. Maybe we'll talk about some of them if we like them. And it was made by a crew of thousands of nameless Hungarians, as this movie was produced in Budapest as a way to reduce Disney's expenditures, while, you know, at the same time, Hollywood is struggling with rampant unemployment. So, great move, Disney. You could have employed local crews. Anyways, before we talk about the movie itself, maybe we talk a little bit about the experience of seeing it. I was worried that this movie would be a box office bomb. I think we can now report, thankfully, that's not the case. And I can only think that it was like either late ticket sales or walk-ups, at least in the case of my theater, because over at the Chinese, it was pretty well packed, even though despite the fact I checked a few days before and there were a ton of empty seats. But by the time that the movie's unspooled, people were there to see it.
Yeah, same thing happened to me. I bought my tickets about a week in advance, and I was the only person in the theater at the time. And by the time of showtime, it was about like 3/4 full, which is like really good. This is probably the only time outside of Deadpool and Wolverine. This is probably the only movie I've seen in the last probably like year or something that had people in the theater with me, like more than just a handful.
Yeah, and I was thankful, you know, to have that audience for this movie specifically, and I guess we'll talk about it more later for specific plot points. But there's a lot of moments in this where I think if you have the right crowd who's really into it, and maybe they might even get a little vocal, or they might be applauding at the right moments or something like that, it can be a much more entertaining experience, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's delve into the plot a little bit. I got the Wikipedia plot description, and you know we'll just kind of go through it as we can. The story starts off on this mining planet. I think it's called Jackson. No mention of hats, so I assume Jackson is the correct name for the planet. But the story is centering around this young woman named Rain Carradine. She's an orphan who works with her adoptive brother Andy, who is a android. You don't really know that immediately, but pretty quickly by like the second or third scene, they reveal that he's an android and subject to some kind of anti-android racism, I guess we would say. That's kind of like a plot thread throughout this is some humans are very distrustful of androids, and maybe for good reason.
Yeah, I like that they do come out with it so quick. Like you said, it's like the second or third scene. I mean, it's like the first 10 minutes or something. You know, he's an android, which is kind of an interesting subversion because in the other three main movies, it's always like a surprise reveal who the robot is. So I like that they were just like, no, this guy's a robot. Deal with it.
Although you would think, I mean, I guess it's a reveal to the audience, right? But this is a universe in which, like, it's pretty clear, I guess, to everybody, like, who is and isn't a robot, you know? In fact,
sometimes
it seems like they seem to know, even, like, just by approaching this Andy. Like, when he's getting harassed in the street early in the movie, like, how do they know that he was an android? Maybe they just knew him, I guess.
Could be, yeah. Because sometimes it's a surprise. Because in Aliens, Ripley is surprised when she finds out that Bishop's an alien. So I guess sometimes you can tell just by looking at people, sometimes not.
Yeah, maybe. Anyhow, this girl, Rain, is not too thrilled with her life on this shitty mining planet. And it looks like she's going to be stuck there for a long time. The Wayland Yutani Corporation has extended her contract against her will. And so she hatches a plan to basically escape this planet. There is a derelict spaceship that's been orbiting their planet, and she gets together with a few of her friends to basically board that spaceship and steal some of the gear from it that she could then use to, I don't know, I think power some other spaceship that they have that they plan to use for their escape. So she gathers up her friends. It's her and her android brother Andy, as well as this guy Tyler and his pregnant sister Kay, their cousin Bjorn, and Bjorn's girlfriend Navarro. And so, yeah, they get together and they go up into Earth orbit, or not Earth orbit, Jackson orbit, to board this abandoned spaceship, which is about to crash into like an asteroid belt that is orbiting this planet, or a ring that's orbiting this planet. And so that is also kind of a sense of, or a source of tension throughout this entire movie, is like, well, there's a ticking clock here where, eventually this spaceship is going to crash into these asteroids. So got to go collect your space gear quickly,
Yeah.
So they're up there, they're doing their thing, they're looking for their space parts. And wouldn't you know it, there's aliens on this ship. They have to do a thing where they're like, they're trying to escape from some face huggers, and they get locked down into this one part of the spaceship because whatever security protocols get activated, and the doors don't open anymore. And so they have to take a microchip out of the brain of a damaged android that they find on the ship, and they put that microchip into Andy, and so that will allow him to then unlock these doors for them. But wouldn't they know it, that makes him now, previously a well-meaning robot, a friendly robot. Now he's an evil robot because of this microchip. And so that's another source of tension throughout the second half of this movie, is like how evil is this new version of Andy, and will he be able to overcome his programming and, become a friend to all mankind once again? It goes in places that I guess we can talk about in terms of the third act, but just suffice to say that there are some twists and turns, after they establish your basic kind of alien premise of people are trapped on this ship and trying to deal with aliens. But I guess let me start with a question here for you, Bowman, which is just about the concept of what I guess people are calling interquels, these sequels that take place, in between existing chronology in a film series. I feel like this is something we're seeing more and more recently, like Star Wars, those Disney Plus TV shows are now like all set in kind of weird little subsets of time in between the movies. And I guess we're doing that now with Alien. Do you like an interquel? Do you think that's like a smart way to approach reviving a franchise?
Yeah, I think if the universe is big enough to support it, then it works. Like I know some of the, like you said, Star Wars, I think some of the Marvel movies like kind of happen, like they'll like kind of go back in time, or like they'll release ones that sort of take place at the same time, kind of a thing. Like Ant-Man 3 and Avengers 4 kind of happened like on the same day or something like that. So like, yeah, so if it can support it, like if it's a big enough universe for that, it works. But if not, then it's kind of weird. Like I know, like I think one or two of the Saw movies do that, where it's like they kind of go back. It's not necessarily a prequel, but it's sort of like a side sequel sort of a thing, and it doesn't work as well. Like at least, when you try to like put together like, well, why wouldn't Jigsaw have mentioned this weird wacky adventure that they had 2 weeks before part 3 or whatever it is? So yeah, I don't know. It can work. I think it's fine. I mean, I kind of don't understand why you wouldn't just do a sequel. I mean, maybe because Alien 4 is so far in the future that it's. I mean, but still, it's like sci-fi. Why not go for it? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a weird choice for this one, maybe. But I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think I understand the decision to do it here. I mean, if your favorite thing about the first Alien movie is like the set design, which debatably might be my favorite thing about that's a movie I love, but that set design is so incredible.
Yeah.
The only way to do it is to set it in this timeline. You can't set it after Alien 4. I think all the technology looks way different.
That is true, yeah. And they get it down. I mean, I think that outside of the fact that this is, a kind of polished 2024 movie, I think you could probably watch this next to the first one and think that they were on the same sets or something. Like, they do a really good job of recreating a lot of that stuff.
It's pretty impressive, yeah, the amount of detail that they pack into this and just how much it looks exactly like it would have looked like if they had done it, in 1979. I think that stuff is impressive. But, as a concept, interquels, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed because I feel like it creates this situation that I don't like where I now don't know what order I'm supposed to watch a series in. Like, if I'm going to go rewatch Aliens again, like as a franchise, do I watch this in between the two? Or do I watch it when it actually came out, chronologically? Because it is kind of jarring to go from a movie made in 79, then watch this, then watch a movie made in 86 or whatever. Like, the filmmaking techniques will just kind of zigzag then. I don't know. It doesn't fit for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that they're smart here in that there's nothing really in this that affects any of the other movies. Like, they don't do anything where it's like Ripley shows up at the end, that like kind of like throws that really affects any of the other movies. So, I mean, you could probably just watch this if you were going to marathon them all, like pretty much anywhere you wanted to, I think.
Yeah. And well, but I think that is like, maybe that speaks to kind of the deficiency of the approach where it's like, if the best thing that we can say about this is that it's skippable, that it's like, oh yeah, if you miss this, it doesn't impact Aliens whatsoever, then maybe that, points to the fact that there's a ceiling to what you can do in an interquel without disrupting the flow of the entire franchise. And maybe it's not really even worth pursuing then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's interesting about this franchise, though, is the Alien franchise really is like 3 franchises. Like, it's the first 4 movies, and then it's Aliens versus Predator, the 2 movies there, and then it's the Prometheus movies. And I feel like this is more Prometheus Part 3 than it is Alien Part 5.
Oh, interesting.
Because it ties into the whole black goo thing. Chronologically, it's the next in line after Prometheus. So I feel like, with that whole, like, the black goo from the Prometheus movies plays a big part in the third act of this movie. So I feel like, it kind of ties in with those movies a little bit closer. Although it feels more like an Alien movie.
Yeah, in terms of the lore and some of, that stuff, I agree with you, and especially in that third act. But it's being marketed as an Alien sequel, and it looks like an Alien sequel, and it plays out mostly like an Alien sequel.
True. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. It kind of bridges that gap, and it feels, I don't know. It's like sort of like a movie that like maybe doesn't know what it is totally, because it does feel like a big amalgamation of all the movies, like there's like the big engineer monster at the end, and like the black goo from like the Prometheus movies, and then it feels like Alien. The third act feels a lot like Aliens. It becomes an action movie at some point. They have that engineer monster that's very reminiscent of the monster at the end of Alien Resurrection. It feels like it's kind of taking from everything. So it sort of fits in with everything in the franchise, but also feels like it doesn't really fit in anywhere because it's doing too many things in a way too.
Yeah, I mean, I will go ahead and say right out, I liked this movie. I had a fun time watching this movie at the cinema. With some reservations. I think the biggest issue that I have with this is that, one of the things that I love so much about that original Alien, besides the wallpaper, are the space truckers. And, the fact that we had a movie where it was this ragtag group of lovable misfits, maybe a little bit rough around the edges. Maybe they've seen their share of, hard journeys, but you love these guys and you can feel that they've been through a lot, versus what you get here are just some kind of space teen runaways who all seem kind of entitled and annoying. And maybe part of that is that they're all British, which was a weird choice. I'm guessing England is closer to Bulgaria. But I just don't know that I even believe that this terrible accent of British is going to survive this far into the future. Don't you think humanity would have prioritized the elimination of this accent by now?
Yeah, I definitely think in the future that accent probably will not exist.
Especially not on Jackson, the mining planet.
Definitely not there. Outside of the two leads, Andy and Rain, who I love both of them. Everybody else in this movie is worthless. Like, they're annoying, like they're nondescript. They don't really have personalities. They don't do much. They're just there to be killed, which is like fine. But like all those characters in like the first one and even the second one, and also I would say the third and fourth ones. Maybe not the third one, I guess, but like very, very strong characters. Like, you kind of get those characters, you get who they are, they stand out. And here, not so much.
Yeah, and as a result, I feel like the first 40-ish minutes of this movie are kind of boring because I'm not very invested in these people and hearing them, talk about their grand hopes and dreams off planet. Which, when you compare it to that original movie, which the first 40 minutes of that are probably almost entirely silent, it's incredible what a bit of casting will do for a movie where, I can just look at Harry Dean Stanton drinking a cup of coffee and be entertained for a good 5 minutes. I don't want to see any of these people drink even one iota of coffee, whether or not it has low milk in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because like Alien, I think, is a franchise where I get why the studio wouldn't want this necessarily, but like, I feel like it works best when you do have a bunch of middle-aged people in the cast. Like, when they're space truckers, like, that's interesting. These guys have been on the job for 20 years. Like, this is would be a routine job if not for the weird alien kind of a thing. And then aliens, these guys are all like in the military. It makes sense that they've been there for a while. They're a little bit younger there. And then, they're all lifetime prisoners in part 3. Like, it's a franchise where it makes sense that everybody's a little bit older. So to throw these like all very like nondescriptly good looking young people into it feels a little weird. And then also, like you said, like the fact that they're all like, oh, we need, our job opportunities are not here. We need to get off this planet for a better life. It's like, well, you're 18. Like, I don't know. That doesn't, it's doing that, risking everything to go to a better planet with a better economy, like, doesn't ring as true for 18-year-old characters as it would for 35-year-old characters. I don't think.
Totally.
So
the
youngness is a little weird.
You got to sell this movie, and I guess that's how they feel that they do it. Is I think studios are convinced that a movie is not marketable if it's got actors over the age of 40 in it or whatever. So
yeah, you've either got to be 25 or you've got to be dead to be in a movie these days.
Yeah, they should have called up Sid Haig. You know what?
Yeah,
put him in this Beyond the Grave.
Yeah. Well, so how do you feel about Ian Holm being in this? When I was watching it, I was like, oh man, because you didn't like Grand Moff Tarkin and some of that Star Wars stuff. I was like, Sean's not going to like this. He's going to be very mad about this. How did you feel?
Yeah, no, I hated it, and that despite the fact that I liked this movie on the whole, that is like my number one displeasure with this thing. It looks bad. First of all, it just looks distractingly bad that you put a fake Ash in this, and it's also kind of weird the way that it's like it is Ash, but it's not. It's a new android called Rook or something. But
Yeah.
and then if it's not going to be Ash, like you could have just had the android look like anything. We've established in this universe androids come in all shapes and sizes and colors. So like, why is it gotta look like Ian Holm other than you wanted to have something to get audiences talking? I guess it's either that or it's, that Disney has a market interest in shoving this extremely gross technology down our throats as if they are some sort of, face hugger. Because they want to be able to make movies with dead actors. Like they've shown time and time again, they don't want to pay actors and they don't want to pay them for voiceover. They don't want to pay them for on screen. If they can get away with purely digital creations that are animated by slave labor in Korea or whatever, they're going to do that shit. And so it's the same motivating factor that causes this movie to be shot in Bulgaria rather than Hollywood, where there are talented craftsmen available who would love to work on something like this. It's Disney's a bunch of shitty, evil, money grubbing corporate assholes. And yeah, no, that bummed me out. And there's no reason to do it creatively. I mean, it's not like that plays into the, like those characters don't know who Ash is, right? So they get no reaction from it. Like, why even do it?
Yeah, it is weird because, like, if they had rewritten this and, set it on the Nostromo, like these people find the Nostromo out in space, which I guess they couldn't because I think it blows up at the end. But like, then it would make sense for him to be there. Like that would make sense story-wise. Like, like you said, like it's a different guy, it's a different robot. So yeah, they're just like using him to kind of give you those member berries. And like he's even like found in a similarly destroyed way. So yeah, it just only exists to remind you of something else. Like they could have, Lance Henriksen's alive. They could have had a Bishop model in here.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers Bishop.
And even if it was a digitally de-aged Lance Henriksen, I wouldn't love it, but I would feel a lot better about it being a living person who could agree to have his likeness used in this movie. And I don't care if you tell me, like, oh, Ian Holmes' widow or somebody signed up. I don't give a shit. Ian Holmes is not alive. He didn't see this movie. He doesn't want to be in this. Let the man rest.
Yeah. And also, I mean, as we saw in Alien 3, like they could have just done a prosthetic and a robot like that Bishop.
Yeah.
That is all like just a puppet. Looks fucking
great.
Incredible in part 3. And that was again, 25 years ago.
In that way, you'd be hiring talented craftsmen to make that prosthetic for you,
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit weird. I oddly enough, as the movie goes on, I think the effect looks better because they start showing him in shadows, like as the lights go out, and then they show him over a lot
quicker
of TV
cuts
screens
and stuff like that. Yeah.
So yeah, as it goes on, it looks better, oddly enough. But yeah, and kind of confusing. It doesn't really make sense for him to be there.
Even if it did look perfect, if it looked picture perfect, that would probably make me more angry, And that's eventually where this is going, I guess.
True. I mean, it did look better than a lot of, like, whenever they do like young Luke in that Star Wars stuff or like some of that other DH stuff. It did look, or like, like Leia in Rogue One, that monstrosity. Yeah. Like it looks better than that stuff.
It's improving. I somehow I think the young Indiana Jones was like the worst of them all, but I think maybe that was because they like didn't know that you can't show close-ups of his face for like 10 unbroken minutes,
I think so, yeah.
The other thing that really bothered me in this movie was this plot contrivance of the gravity generator and how it has to recycle every so often. It's just this really obvious plot contrivance that doesn't make any sense when you think about it for a single minute. So like kind of the way that it works is, when these people get to the ship, at first there's no gravity in there. So you're just floating around, you're banging off walls, etc. And, they got to get to whatever gravity generator and flip it on. But even before they do that, intermittently, the gravity will flip on by itself. The machine has to do some kind of cycling routine that it does. And so for, a minute or so, there's going to be gravity. And of course, that leads to an alien encounter scene that's more dramatic because the gravity is toggling on and off, etc. But if you think about it for even a second, it's like this ship has been floating through space for, I think, decades. I think it's been floating for 20 years, but at a minimum, a long amount of time. If this thing has been going on and off like that, wouldn't everything in the ship be like effectively destroyed? But meanwhile, they come upon a laboratory that's got all of these glass beakers that are open on the top with fluids in them that haven't spilled or anything. So I guess all these glass beakers floated up into the air and magically landed back on their, places on the desk without just none of it makes any sense, right?
That is true. I'm sure. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know if the gravity starts going on and off when they get on the ship, or if it's been doing that the entire time.
Either way,
I think
why would that be a feature of this system?
That's a good point. But either way, even if it did start just when they get on the ship, then everything in that lab would have been broken.
Yeah, they
first
had
got
already experienced it at least once. So.
Yeah. So you're right. Yeah.
It just feels like something they're like, oh, this will be cool looking on screen, or we can use this to build tension.
I think someone came up with that thing with like the floating acid blood, and then they worked backwards from there to figure out how to make it make sense, any kind of sense in the movie. Like I think somebody just thought that would be like really cool.
The similar thing that bugged me in this is, you got this android, Andy, which, by the way, clever name for your android to call him Andy. We all get that.
Yeah.
But they build into the plot like this thing where it takes him a certain amount of time to boot up. It takes him a couple minutes to boot up. And so, oh man, isn't this stressful? We got to wait for Android to boot up while we're trying to fight these aliens. Wouldn't it be nice if he boots up more quickly? But then later on, you see him rebooting in the movie, and that's not a thing. He just reboots immediately. Like, it's very inconsistent based on whatever the scene needs,
Yeah. He does boot up. Yeah, there's like that other scene at the end where he boots up pretty quick at the end. I did like Andy though.
Yeah, on the whole, I think he's cool.
Yeah, I think that performance is really great. What's the guy's name? David Johnson. I've never seen him in anything, but I think he's really, really good in this, especially considering he has to play two different characters essentially.
I think he's been doing British TV maybe mostly, but yeah, I thought he was good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's in a few movies, British movies I've never heard of. Yeah, he's good. My Letterboxd review for this is that this is kind of a better Blade Runner 3 than an Alien movie, and I'm being a little bit jokey, but also I think it's kind of true. Like I think I think my favorite part of this really is the relationship between the Andy and Rain, like their relationship, and then him dealing with the fact that he gets this upgrade that kind of turns him evil and stuff like that. Like I thought that was a lot more interesting than these aliens that I've seen a bunch of times before. So and then I think even like just the world building with the alien stuff, like you mentioned, like the people who are racist towards them. There's that Cockney guy who comes on the ship with them who's racist towards robots because one inadvertently killed his mom, which doesn't make sense. They say, like they invoke Isaac Asimov's 3 rules or 3 laws or whatever of robotics, where like they say, so what happened? The backstory for this guy is that a robot, like his mom was stuck in a room or some such with like a robot had to make a decision between killing his mom or killing like 20 other people, like the old railroad thought experiment. And so his mom died. So that's why this guy hates robots, because a robot inadvertently killed his mom while trying to save a bunch of other people.
Oh.
And but like somebody says in the movie, like, oh, well, that goes against the laws of robotics. Like robots can't hurt people. But we saw in the first Alien movie that Ian Holm tried to kill Ripley. Like robots hurt people in this world all the time. So why would they?
Yeah.
So that didn't make sense.
Well,
They just wanted
I
to
mean,
quote
you could
Asimov.
maybe say that is a fallacy that has been sold to society by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Maybe these robots are marketed as, following Asimov's laws, but in reality, Weyland-Yutani has the ability to override that.
That is a good point, because that is kind of how the violence from them works, is as kind of a surprise trickaroo that they can do it. It's all right. That part, all right, I buy it. That part makes sense now.
And it seems like they're only violent when being commanded by the corporation, right?
Yeah, seems like it. All right, I'm in on that part then. All right. How did you feel about the reveal that there's not just one alien on this ship, but lots and lots of aliens?
I like that. I mean, I was generally pleased with all of the alien action in this movie once it got going. Like that first 40 minutes, kind of slow. Some of the initial exploration of the ship felt kind of goofy. But once the aliens were out and about and, ripping faces and spitting, acid blood all over the place, I was down. I was having fun. It felt like Fede was having a fun time getting some gore up there on screen. It's a fairly gory movie, not the most gory movie I've ever seen, but, for a mainstream theatrical release, some gnarly moments in this for sure. And a lot of practical effects, I got to say, as well. I barely detected any CG, really. Felt like most of the time you see an alien xenomorph on screen, it was a practical, goopy, rubbery monster guy, I think, right?
Yeah, I saw some behind the scenes photos, and it seemed like there were a lot of guys in suits in those photos. So yeah, I think more often than not, it was probably practical what you were seeing.
Yeah, and the music was pretty good in this. It's got kind of a classic sort of sci-fi horror movie type score to it, and as we mentioned, the set designs are incredible. I will say, kind of a minor gripe, but nobody smokes cigarettes in this movie. Really? None of these characters? I mean, I know that they're all young, but none of them smoke? Did Fede even see the original movie?
Yeah, that's a smoky movie.
Yeah. And then speaking of smoking, there is a reference to lung cancer in this that is hilariously on the nose. This movie does have some really dumb dialogue, but they're setting up early on. They're setting up the fact that this Jackson is a shithole and this girl doesn't want to live there, and they're setting up that this Weyland-Yutani Corporation is evil, as if we didn't already know that. And she actually says in the dialogue, she goes all the way to spell it out by saying that her parents died from lung cancer in the mines. And she has to say, from your minds. It was from your minds, Weyland-Yutani. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You could just say lung cancer. We would all infer that. But
yeah, we saw the planet. The planet looks very polluted and gross. We would have gotten it.
Yeah, but it is, I think, at its core, just kind of a dumb horror movie in space that on occasion is, aspiring to be more. The parts of it that I liked the most were when it was just trying to be a dumb horror movie. Even some of the very dumb jump scares in this where, something completely innocuous will scare a character and then they'll move on immediately. Like, oh, I can't believe I was scared by that. Even those dumbass moments, I like those, especially in a big theater setting where people around you are jumping out of their seats. So I thought this was fun. The stuff with, that Andy and the lead girl and kind of their interpersonal relationship, I thought could have been maybe more interesting than it ended up being. But I like that they put it in here. And I didn't mind, I guess we'll just talk about it now. I didn't mind the human alien hybrid that comprises the third act of this movie. I thought that was a cool twist. I like the fact that this movie does the classic Alien thing where it seems like everything is all resolved and then just, before things can wrap up, it kicks into high gear again and it's suddenly got some more thrills for you. I thought that was all cool.
I agree with that part. Before it got there, though, it lost me. Like I also like this movie. And I was having fun with all the aliens. Like that scene where the alien is like just watching that girl because he wants her friends to like open the door to save her so that he can get them all. Like when they open the door, like I thought that it was like very scary. And I was really into it. I was watching all that and liking that stuff. And then it got to the part, and then like I really liked the reveal of all the aliens. I was like, oh my god, that's so creepy to have all these aliens. It's gonna be creepy. And then they introduced guns, and I like my face just dropped. I was like, oh no, they're gonna shoot all these fucking aliens. This movie's gonna turn into Aliens. They're gonna go from having these scary ass aliens to cannon fodder aliens, and that's exactly what they do. Like they just start shooting all the aliens, and then all the aliens die. And Andy even at one point says to one of the aliens, "Get away from her, you bitch," even though he's never seen the movie Aliens. And
but this is the inevitable challenge to making a sequel to Alien. And I do fault James Cameron for fucking it up so badly, but you think about it, and it is kind of like impossible, where it's like, that first Alien movie is so perfect, and especially the creature himself seems so perfect, so unkillable. The only way that they killed it in the original was to like force it out of the airlock, and even that we find out didn't fully kill it. And so to have this unkillable beast that is completely unstoppable, I don't know that that's sustainable across a series of movies. I mean, I guess you can just do like the Jason Voorhees thing of like, we think we killed him and then, oh, he's back again. But I think audiences get tired of that unless they're like a hardcore slasher audience, which, I mean, I guess if they had gone in that direction with this and it had just turned into kind of a mindless slasher series with a single alien protagonist over and over again, maybe that is something that would appeal to me, but it's a very different series.
Yeah, I mean, Aliens is not my favorite of the franchise, as we've talked about, but in that one, it makes sense for it to be kind of all-out war where a bunch of aliens die because you've got 30 Marines, that's their job to kill people. So, I don't know, the fact that like a couple of mine workers in a half-broken robot are like shooting 30 aliens like in the middle of this movie. I don't like.
But by the end of this, like, do many of them survive? I'm trying to remember. I mean, what, like, it's the lead girl lives, right?
Yeah.
And then who else besides her and her robot?
Andy lives.
Yeah.
The pregnant girl sort of lives for a little bit, but I think at the end it's just them.
Yeah. So I mean, they try and fend off these aliens, but ultimately they're annihilated, as you would want these British teens to be.
Well, that part is true. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the movie would have, I would have preferred it to just stay a horror movie rather than turn into an action movie at some point. I think they could have done that. Even with adding a bunch of aliens, like that could have upped the stakes. Like instead of hiding from one alien, you're hiding from 7 aliens or whatever. Like you don't have to start shooting them all. You can just escape them using your wits, I think. But,
yeah. I almost feel like Fox or whoever thinks that you can't make back like this kind of budget if it's a pure horror movie. Like I think that they're hedging their bets in terms of who they think they can get to come out to see this movie to cover the cost of all those fancy computer screens that they built out there in Bulgaria.
Yeah, that could be. But yeah, that was really like the main thing I didn't like about it. But yeah, like you said, once they introduced that weird engineer, human, it's like human alien engineer monster, like that thing rules. It's super creepy. I like that guy. And then it turns back into a horror movie, and yeah, I like that thing a lot. Like, and then even just like the weird body horror, like that lady like gives birth to like the egg that has a baby in it, like a human baby. Like, yeah, it's creepy and gross.
The whole the birthing scene with all the blood splatter, like that looked really gnarly. And then I like the fact that this, I know that people don't like Prometheus, and I'm not even really sure how I feel about Prometheus, to be honest, but I like the fact that this kind of bridges those in a weird way, even though in theory I shouldn't, because I think I theorized earlier that I don't like interquels because of the potential impact that they have to existing established, continuity. And this does kind of do that, where it's like, I guess this is kind of like a missing link between humans and xenomorphs. And are we to believe, well, what are we to make of this? Like, so what does that mean that this looks like the engineer from Prometheus?
I'm not sure. I don't understand how the black ooze works totally. Is the black ooze just like engineered DNA? I mean, is that
I guess
idea?
so. I don't know. Do we have to do a Bookhouse Boys on the alien mythos now?
I think we might have to. Yeah, I appreciate the effort. And I mean, it makes sense because Ridley Scott produced this movie, and so it makes sense that he would want to keep all his Prometheus stuff in canon.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the effort. I like how these things fit together. Like that's what's fun about like watching 9 Jason movies is being like, oh, in Jason 4, this guy's avenging the death of his sister who died in part 3. Like that's like it's fun to like kind of tie all the things together. So I like that they do that here.
Yeah, and a lot of visual nods to the existing movies, which is fun to see. For those keeping
the
Reeboks. But for those keeping score at home, I will say, yet again, we've got a chest-bursting scene that does not live up to the original.
True, yeah.
And it's fine, but it's just not as cool as the original.
It's a good one. I did like it, but yeah, nothing will ever be as good as the original.
Yeah.
I did like that. Like they have this weird thing that like it's like a light that you place on your body and it lights up your insides and shows you an X-ray.
Oh yeah.
I like that they like the lady does that and it shows the chest burster inside of her. I thought that was a fun little visual thing to do.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And yeah, overall, like I said, I like this. Is it the greatest movie of all time? No. For an Alien sequel in the year 2024, I think it over-delivered on my expectations. And I was pleasantly surprised that I walked away from this like not angry at it when that very easily could have been the result. And this further solidifies my long held belief that Letterboxd needs to implement quarter-star ratings because I don't feel like this movie is a 3.5. But it's also not a 4. I would love to give this 3.75, but that's not an option available to me. So I don't know how I'm going to log this ultimately.
Yeah, I need more fractions on Letterboxd as well. Yeah, I also like this movie. I think it's fun. It's definitely my favorite Fede Alvarez movie, and definitely my favorite Alien movie since part 3 or 4. So yeah, a successful film.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sounds like Kevin agrees.
He loves it. So for next week's film.
Oh, okay. We're still doing those.
Yeah, I guess 2 weeks from now.
For 2 weeks. Because next week, speaking of Kevin's, will be a Kevin Moss episode. It'll be a junk food dinner. I think it's episode 678.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about the movies 10 to Midnight from 1983, Nightmare Sisters from 1988, and A Dirty Shame from 2004.
3 bangers.
That's next week. But what's happening in a couple?
Well, in a couple of weeks, I'll give you an option here. I'll give you 2 choices. When we were talking amongst ourselves, I came up with this idea for the segment this week for us to do canonical rankings of the entire Alien franchise. Weigh my Letterboxd scores of all of them against yours. We get an average, like the segment we do on the show for the entire franchise. And you said you can't do that because it's been too long since you've seen part 4. So we can either do part 4 next time, and then we can finally do our long-awaited canonical rankings of the Alien franchise and find out where they all rank against each other. Or we can watch a different movie about scary aliens. If you're sick of these xenomorphs and this H.R. Geiger business and Sigourney Weaver and all that, we can move on to different aliens. Or finish out the OG franchise and see Alien Resurrection. It's up to you.
Well, you know how I feel about completeness. And so I got to be honest, even though I'm not really that excited to return to Alien 4, I feel a weird compulsion to do it still. So I'm going to say we got to do Alien 4. It's either got to be that or it's got to be the next entry into the Journey into the Center of the Earth franchise.
Well, if those are the options, then Alien Resurrection it is.
Okay. All right. Done deal.
Oh.
All right, cool. I also am a completionist, so this will be exciting.
Let's not, go overboard with this sense of completionism. There's, certain, tangentially related movies that we can probably skip, right?
I think you're right. And also, well, Alien versus Predator is set in the winter, so right now we're in the middle of Alien Summer. Maybe if we ever do a Predator Winter, we can get to those movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the first 4. That's what I consider completionist, the first 4. And Romulus.
All right, then.
Yeah. All right. It's settled. Romulus. Alien 4 Resurrection it is.
I'm pretty excited to see one of my favorite basketball scenes in cinema history.
Finally, we're living up to this cult movies and basketball moniker.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. So, yeah, look forward to that. Look forward to Alien Chat in a couple weeks. Look forward to JFD next week. And as we mentioned earlier, you still got time. Call in, razz Kevin Moss about anything you like, and make a sly reference to Little Squeezers. That's what we all enjoy on this show. So plan for that. Execute on that plan. And we will be here to enjoy the results. But until then, this is your friend, Sen Byro, for your other friend, Perky Beantown Bowman, saying, keep washing them dishes.
I'm too old
what are you,
for
some sort of
this.
pervert?
No, crosstalk on the drops.
Dueling drops. It could be Kyle MacLachlan. Like, he sucks. Objectively, he's, not a good actor.
Sunday, the Ridgely Theater in Fort Worth had the biggest day in its entire history. It sold more than The Godfather, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Superman, and Love Story. But the biggest surprise to theater employees is the number of parents bringing young children to see Alien. Did you know that this was an R-rated movie when you brought him?
Yes, we did.
Are you sorry you brought him?
Yes, I am.
Are you glad you saw it? Yeah. Are you sorry, sir, that you brought your son along to see Alien?
No, ma'am, I think you should have seen it. It's something that he needs to know, that things like that could happen in life. That could be a true story. Based on, science. We never know what's going on the outside of the world.
Did the movie scare you at all? Yes, ma'am, it did.
We take him to see a lot of horror pictures and things like that, because we like horror movies. We're horror buffs, I guess.
Would you recommend to your little friends who are your age to go see it? No, I wouldn't. According to the National Association of Broadcasters Code, television cannot show you the more violent scenes from Alien. Several adults have walked out of the movie, but no parents with children have been seen leaving early. At $4 a ticket, perhaps they feel they have too much invested. Or maybe moviegoers don't equate sci-fi fantasy with real violence. Or maybe, as psychologists keep telling us, we Americans are becoming more and more immune to excessive behavior. Bobby Wygant, The Texas News.
It could be Kyle MacLachlan. Like, he sucks. Objectively, he's like not a good actor.
I'm not like the biggest Power Rangers guy,